So I want to talk about when to sell your investments or your crypto investments. So let's be honest, everybody talks about how to invest, how to research, what to buy, how to buy, and even how much to invest. All those details are important, but the truth is nobody really talks too much about when to sell and how to think about that. And I think it's ironic because the real money and sometimes the real peace of mind actually comes not from just buying, but knowing when to let go of something or when to sell. And now figuring out when to sell a winner is actually relatively a minor challenge. The truth is, the far tougher question is knowing when to sell something that isn't working and figuring out when to let go of something that's not doing well. That's far more challenging. But in this video, I want to talk about how to approach selling. So in general, selling overall, and more importantly, how to think about it strategically. So I think out of all the books, investing books that have been written, I think about less than 2% are actually about selling. They're more focused on buying, investing, when to invest, that kind of thing. And yet one of the biggest challenges investors face, especially retail investors, is knowing when to sell their investment or how long to ride the wave of something that is working and doing well. Because the truth is, this part of investing is very uncomfortable and it basically forces us to deal with our emotions, fear, greed, that kind of thing. So when do you sell? Do you sell when your portfolio is up, when it's doubled? Do you sell when things are down? Or do you just continue holding? Or the question, should you even sell at all? And there are a lot of questions that come up. So I'll just say this up front and be transparent with you guys, ladies and gentlemen. There's no right or wrong answer for when to sell. And there's no perfect formula, because there are certainly better ways to think about it and different ways to approach these questions, and that will help you decide if you should sell, and if you should, then when you should sell. So today, I just want to have an honest conversation about not just when to sell, but honestly how to think about it when you're faced with that decision. Because as I said, it's challenging, and I know that for a fact. So I'll share a few things that I've learned from personal experience and some things I've learned from some very smart people in the business, people I've worked with, people I've spoken to. And look, I've been in finance. I've worked in finance and banking for years. I've been investing in stocks since 2012 and crypto since mid to late 2019. And I've been through more than one altcoin season and a few bull runs. So currently we're in a bull run, but we haven't hit altcoin season yet. So we still have time. Now, let's start with this. There is no perfect answer to when should I sell my investments, okay? That's a fundamental truth, so make sure you understand that. Because the right time to sell any asset or investment you have it's 100% deeply personal, okay? It depends on many different things like your financial goals, medium-term goals, long-term goals, your time horizon, your age, your risk tolerance, and most importantly, your personal, financial, and life situation. And everybody's in a unique position. Because the truth is, what works for one investor might be completely wrong for the other person. So the reason I'm pointing that out is because That's why you should never try following someone else's exit plan or strategy without really understanding your own reasons and your why, because that's a big mistake. Again, because everybody's in a different position and situation. And so the first thing you need to understand is this. First of all, you shouldn't sell something just because it's up, okay? And you shouldn't sell something just because it's down. So I'll clarify that a little bit. What do I mean? I mean, just because an asset has gone up a lot doesn't mean it's time to get rid of it, okay, or sell it. And the reason is because, think about it like this. If it was a good investment to begin with, whether it's a stock, a crypto, strong fundamentals, real world use case, real utility, long-term growth potential, then maybe it still has much room to go much higher. So why would you sell it? Selling would basically mean you're walking away too early. That's basically what you're doing. And just because something is down, even if it's down a lot, 20, 30, 50, 90%, that also does not mean that you should sell either, just because something is down. Because think of it like this, if it was a good investment in the first place, maybe it's a better deal now, because you're getting the same investment at a discount. It's the same asset at a discounted price. So that might actually mean that maybe it's a buying opportunity and not really a reason to sell the investment or your asset. So just a perspective that people should think about. But whether you sell or not depends on why you bought it in the first place, okay? And whether those reasons that you bought it in the first place are still valid or not. But selling based purely on price movement, just because it's up or down, without any real context or reasoning, is not very clever, okay? Because price alone doesn't tell the full story. And you need to know your why. Your why. What specific reason do you need to sell for? So, why do you want to sell? The next point is, let's focus and talk about real personal reasons to actually sell your investment or your asset, because there are completely valid reasons, okay? Let's be honest. Sometimes the reason to sell something has completely nothing to do with the asset at all, okay? And what I mean by that is there are perfectly valid reasons to sell something or to sell your investment that might have nothing to do with the investment itself. So for example, you may want to sell for personal goals, life changes, or personal financial needs or situations. That's completely valid. And it doesn't mean that the investment was bad in the first place. It just means you need the money, okay, for certain or specific reasons. So you need to sell to get the money to achieve certain goals and take care of certain things. So let me give you a few examples that are completely valid. Maybe you've hit your target in your portfolio, you needed $5 million to retire, and now your portfolio is sitting at about $7 million, okay? But if you don't sell now or soon, it could go from $7 million and fall back to $1 million. Now you're below your $5 million retirement threshold, and you're not just losing money, you're losing freedom and the opportunity to retire and walk away at that time. So now you can't retire. See, that's a completely valid reason to sell. Or maybe you've made life-changing gains, you put everything you got into the market, and you want to take your initial investment off the table. Or you want to cut your risk. That's valid. Maybe you want to reduce your exposure, to financially protect your family because you went all in. Or just enjoy the fruits of your hard work and investments. while still keeping a percentage in for the long term that you don't touch, okay, to still maintain exposure. Maybe you want to just put your kids in private school. It could be anything. Or buy a car, move to a new country, buy that house, take care of some personal debt or debt for a loved one or a family member, or just take care of a loved one financially, whether it's your parents, your father, your mother, family. There are many reasons to sell part or all of your portfolio.